Hello, everyone. It's Kim Duramo. I wanted to share something that has been coming up in the last couple of days. I've been reviewing, getting ready for the Alive Woman retreat, which I'm here in Phoenix to do. We start tomorrow night, and I had this really powerful insight that I think pertains to all of us as we're on this journey of awakening, and also is like really like the pinnacle thing that's erupting in the world right now. So the preface of this is, we've been homeschooling my daughter for a few years now, and we've started this new program that's this amazing micro school we've created with some other kids. And one of the big premises of this is you have to let that child have freedoms to begin to trust themselves, which is something I've certainly subscribed. That's been the way I believe in parenting and in educating my daughter as well. But I've been reading this book, so we're using this system called Prenda, which is like the kids are given a lot more autonomy in the mix instead of like the authoritarian kind of educational system. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you should do. Here's how you should do it. Here's when you should do it. Basically saying like, I don't trust you to be a part of this. You have to just listen to me. And it kind of like suppresses the system. So there's this book called The SelfDriven Child that they recommended. And I'm like devouring it and kind of already like understand a lot of the premises in these, but they're giving story after story after story of these kids who are in this like severe anxiety, depression because of being in this system that's like the authoritarian system. Or they do the opposite where they're like, totally checked out. Like, yeah, I'm just not going to do that. And you think like, why aren't you motivated? Why aren't you motivated? So sometimes we think we need that fear, like a fear or the oppression in order that we'll be motivated. And it's kind of based on the idea that like, oh, well, if I don't make this kid do it, they won't do it, right? Like if we don't make ourselves do it, we won't eat healthy. If we don't make ourselves do it, we won't exercise right. If we don't make ourselves do it, we won't be motivated to go like do something good in the world. And it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. And they're kind of spelling out all the brain research and all the education research that has been done to show this in kids. But it's really true for ourselves and our inner journey as well. Because just like for these kids, like they had one kid at like fifth grade who kind of like ended up just falling on their butt because they weren't following through and they weren't doing things. And the parents were like, you mean we're just supposed to let go and let them do that? And the educator was like, yes, because better they learn at fifth grade than learn at like age 25, age 35, how to be involved in their own, like how to be proactive and do the things best for themselves. And so that kid ended up learning like, had to almost stay back a year and then was like, no, wait a minute, I don't want that. And then just like, and it was hard, but learned a really valuable life lesson at fifth grade. And then there was another kid who was 17 and it was the same thing. The parents were in so much fear, like, whoa, the stakes are even higher. This kid is in college. Now the rest of their life could be, impacted, and they wouldn't want to let go. But when they finally did, the kid stopped like rebelling against them and had his own negative consequences and learned a powerful lesson like, this isn't going to get me what I want. Let me get on board for myself. And like, yeah, it took like months and months and months to compensate for that sort of fall, but got on board for himself and created a whole different life and then finished college in a whole different energy versus like rebelling against the parents. Anyway, the reason I wanted to bring this up for all of us as adults going through either like a healing journey or an awakening journey or dealing with anxiety and depression is all the ways we do this to ourselves. Either from our own upbringing and our own conditioning of maybe we were brought up in a system like that or parenting like that, but now we don't learn to trust ourselves. And when I've shared like in the Mindbody Solution for anxiety in the past, people have said, don't I need anxiety? Don't I need it or I won't be motivated? Don't I need it or I won't be safe? And it's like, oh, how much we've learned not to trust the inner self. That we can make choices and learn from them, that we can make quote unquote mistakes and have them be amazing, powerful gifts that change the course of our life in a positive way. And so when I was reading, when I was writing all this stuff about for the Alive Woman, all my notes for each participant and just really cultivating what the movement is for each of them, what they're stepping into. A lot of it was the same thing. So they've got like the guard of fear and tension and gotta keep it together, but they're craving the freedom and they're craving the healing that comes from letting go. And it's that same thing. It's like, do I trust the inner self instead of the program I'm on? One person said, I want to get off the hamster wheel. And what really came up is to learn to trust the self so profoundly. Like, if I think of this as a parent, you're like, I know there's wisdom in that kid. And if I serve as a guide in assisting them and connecting with their wisdom and moving through life, it is so much more valuable for them than trying to like make the choices for them, do it for them, and prevent them from having negative outcomes or outcomes I don't want them to have. And so it was the same thing for her if she, which she is doing, when she begins to let go of that hold that has her like white knuckling hamster wheel do and not actually trusting the inner self. The inner self is like, I got this covered. Let me, we're gonna, like, we have the ability to learn. We have the ability to figure it out. We have the ability to go through maybe it's ups and downs, but stabilize into our knowing. And that was just a really powerful thing that came up for her. The judgment is the other thing. So it's fear and then there's judgment. And we think that that is protective. Like, I need this judgment or I won't be okay. Now, I just want to say with all the compassion in the world, like, we will have challenges as we integrate and get our feet under us with trusting the higher self, with trusting the inner self and letting go of the program. But it's nothing compared to the like immense pain and lack and limitation when we hold the layers, when we hold the program, when we hold the fear. Like, it's not even remotely close. So if you think of it like this, happiness on tap, yep, fear is the regular story, and I want to shed this story. Yeah, and think of like maybe somewhere your system thought this was protective, or you, like this other person said in the Mindbody Solution for Anxiety program, don't I need anxiety or I won't make the right choice? Don't I need fear or I won't be motivated? It's like, oh. So think about that. Is that a program running in your system? And are you willing to let yourself be free and let your system begin to figure it out and integrate the true self and integrate the wisdom, so that just like mothering a child, the child begins to live from their wisdom. You let your system do the same thing. Live exciting now, said you're on point. As a mother of 21 and 17-year-old boys, you have it right. You're amazing. Keep going. Sister, love you, sister. Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I just want to say, like, there is just like if you're parenting a kid, and this is one of the things I had to integrate when I started homeschooling, is like, am I willing to let my kid have pain? Am I willing to let my kid make a mistake? Am I willing to let my kids struggle? That was one of the first questions someone asked me right when I started this process. Are you willing to let your kids struggle? And I realized the value. Aw, Susan Kenny is happiness on tap. How exciting. I have you on the page. Are you willing to let your kids struggle? So that is like one of the hardest things that you can do as a parent. Like, it's painful unless you understand why, unless you understand the value of it. And you're like, what have I learned from my struggles? And would I trade them for like would I trade them to not have them for what I've gained if I realize what I've gained? So why wouldn't I understand that it's okay to let my kid have their struggle and support them through their struggle rather than try to take it away? Because it's infinitely better to let them have it, she's 9, than protect her. And then it happens anyway at like 29 or 49. And there's so much more disillusionment then, and usually we are less resourced at that stage of life. So be willing to do it with yourself. Be willing to like fumble around and not know, and let your system figure it out. Because anytime you move beyond fear and anxiety, you're operating in a new operating system. You will figure it out. But this is a big pinnacle thing that's coming up in the world right now. Should we be allowed to think for ourselves, or should we be mandated and told what to do because, the authoritarian structure? Should we be in this authoritarian structure where like, I don't know what to do? The only time we ever think that is a good idea is when we are in fear. The only time we're not accessing our wisdom is when we are in fear. The only time we're not making the right choices for ourselves is when we're in fear. So of course, it seems like we need that authoritarian system because otherwise we won't know. That's because you're assuming that fear is the atmosphere, that fear is our natural state. So right now, it's like I've shared so many times, it's not about do this thing or don't do this thing. It's about, do I deepen in trusting myself? Do I connect with my wisdom in my choices? Or do I outsource them for a higher, outer authority? And that's, I think, what is the number one question we each need to ask ourselves right now. So I'd rather just be practicing deepening into my wisdom, practicing getting clarity for every piece of my life and use resources for that rather than, trying to look outside myself for the answers. All right, I love you guys. I'm at drkimd.com and you can tune in. I will be live on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. for the Mindbody TV episode. If you're not already tuning into those, you're welcome to come on YouTube and the Mindbody community on Facebook. Sending you love. I am, it's such an honor to be doing this and like holding the space for this group. I have cards that I do every time I do a retreat and they're always like really, really potent. So I'm getting those things ready and just percolating in the energy of this. All right. I love you guys. Yes, this will be saved and we'll post it on the, on Instagram and YouTube. So keep it up. Love you and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.